Welcome back to my kitchen, everyone. Be sure and check the comment section below for the link to the complete printable recipe. Today, we're making something that's simple enough for a weeknight, but impressive enough to serve to guests. Honey soy glazed chicken thighs. This recipe is one of my go-to dinners because it hits all the flavor notes: sweet, salty, savory, and just a hint of that nutty sesame depth. Let's start with the marinade. This is where all the flavor begins, and it's super easy to pull together. I'm using a medium mixing bowl here, and the first thing I'm adding is a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Now, you can use regular soy sauce, but I actually prefer low sodium. It gives me a little more control over the final saltiness of the dish, especially since we're going to reduce this later into a glaze. Next up, we're adding 2 tablespoons of honey. Now, if you like things a little sweeter, you can bump this up by another tablespoon, but I find that 2 gives you that perfect, sticky, sweet base without overpowering everything else. Honey is great here, not only for flavor but also for texture. It thickens beautifully when heated and creates that gorgeous lacquered glaze over the chicken skin. Now for the acidity. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar on hand, you can substitute it with apple cider vinegar, which will give you a slightly fruitier tang. This acidic note cuts through the richness of the chicken and balances out the honey. Now comes the toasted sesame oil, just 1 tablespoon. This might seem like a small amount, but sesame oil is powerful. It has that deep, roasted, nutty flavor that really rounds out the marinade. A little goes a long way, and it complements the soy sauce beautifully. Now it's time to bring in the aromatics. First, 3 cloves of garlic minced finely. You want that pungent, slightly sweet garlic flavor to infuse into every bite. If you love garlic, feel free to toss in an extra clove. Then 1 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger. Don't skip the fresh stuff here. Jarred ginger won't give you the same bright, zippy punch. Grate it straight into the bowl. It adds a little heat, a little complexity, and makes the whole dish more vibrant. Now just whisk all of that together until the honey is fully dissolved. You should end up with a rich, glossy marinade that smells incredible already. Now let's talk chicken. I'm using 6 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs today. Why skin-on and bone-in? Well, the bone helps the meat cook evenly and retain moisture, and the skin, well, we're going to get that crispy golden skin that holds up perfectly to the sticky glaze. Trust me, skinless just won't give you the same result here. Lightly season the chicken with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. We don't need a ton of seasoning here because the marinade is already packed with flavor, but this step helps the meat itself shine. Place your chicken thighs in a large resealable zip-top bag, or you can use a glass or ceramic baking dish if you prefer. Now, pour that marinade right over the chicken. Use a spatula to get every last drop. Once the chicken is coated, seal the bag and massage it gently so the marinade gets into all the nooks and crannies of the chicken. Now let's marinate. Pop it into the fridge and let it sit for at least 1 hour. If you've got the time, let it go overnight. 12 hours is magic. The longer it sits, the deeper those flavors will penetrate. If you're using a dish instead of a bag, cover it tightly with plastic wrap. And if you can, flip the chicken halfway through marinating so it soaks evenly. All right, now it's time to preheat the oven. Set it to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 200 degrees Celsius. You want a hot oven to render the fat from the chicken skin and give it that beautiful, crisp texture. While the oven's heating up, we're going to sear our chicken. I'm using a large, oven-safe skillet here. Cast iron works beautifully, but any heavy-bottomed pan that can go from stove to oven will do the trick. Heat the skillet over medium-high heat until it's hot but not smoking. Take the chicken out of the marinade, but hang on to that marinade. We'll use it to make our glaze in a bit. Shake off any excess and place the thighs into the skillet, skin side down. You should hear that satisfying sizzle immediately. Let them sear for about 4 to 5 minutes, untouched. This is how you get that golden brown, crispy skin. Don't move them around, just let the pan do the work. Once the skin is crisp and golden, flip the thighs and sear the other side for about 2 minutes. Again, don't overcrowd the pan. If you're making a big batch, sear in batches to maintain that heat and get an even sear on every piece. Once they're seared, transfer the skillet directly to your preheated oven. If you're not using an oven-safe skillet, transfer the chicken to a baking dish instead. Bake for 20 to 25 minutes, or until the internal temperature of the chicken reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the safe zone for poultry, and it ensures that the meat is cooked through but still juicy and tender. While the chicken is baking, we're going to turn that reserved marinade into a glossy, flavorful glaze. Pour the marinade into a small saucepan and bring it to a boil over medium-high heat. This step is critical. You need to bring it to a rolling boil to kill off any bacteria from the raw chicken. Once it hits a boil, lower the heat and let it simmer gently for about 5 to 7 minutes, stirring occasionally. You'll notice it starts to thicken and become syrupy. You'll know it's ready when it can coat the back of a spoon. If you want a thicker glaze, let it simmer a little longer, but don't walk away from it. It can go from perfect to scorched quickly. All right, our chicken is done baking, and now comes the best part, glazing. Take the skillet out of the oven and brush a generous amount of that hot glaze over each thigh. Use a pastry brush or the back of a spoon to make sure every inch of that crispy skin gets coated. And here's a little pro tip. If you want an extra sticky caramelized finish, switch your oven to broil and place the glazed chicken back under the broiler for just 2 to 3 minutes. Keep a close eye on it. Glazes can go from caramelized to burnt in a matter of seconds. But if you do it right, you'll get this glossy, beautifully charred top that takes the flavor to the next level. To finish, sprinkle the chicken with toasted sesame seeds, about a tablespoon, and a few tablespoons of thinly sliced green onions. This gives you a pop of freshness, a little color, and a bit of crunch. The toasted sesame adds nuttiness and aroma that ties the whole dish together. Now this chicken is ready to serve. It's perfect over steamed jasmine rice with roasted veggies or even a chilled noodle salad. You've got the savory umami from the soy, sweetness from the honey, that zippy brightness from the vinegar and ginger, and a deeply satisfying crunch from the skin and sesame. And there you have it. Honey soy glazed chicken thighs that are crispy, juicy, sticky, and absolutely packed with flavor. You know, one of the things I love most about this recipe is how versatile it is. You can swap in boneless thighs if you're short on time, or even use drumsticks or wings for a fun twist. And if you're cooking for a crowd, just double the marinade and bake everything on a sheet pan. It's a real crowd pleaser, and reheats beautifully the next day, if you have leftovers, that is. This glaze also works great on tofu or salmon, so don't be afraid to experiment a little. If you try this recipe, I'd love to hear how it turned out. Let me know in the comments how long you marinated it, whether you broiled it at the end, or if you added any spice. I personally love a dash of red pepper flakes or a drizzle of sriracha in the glaze for a spicy twist. Be sure and check the comments section for the complete recipe where you can explore many other great recipes. Thanks for cooking with me today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell icon so you don't miss any new recipes. I'll see you next time. And until then, keep cooking with confidence.